DC and Marvel have been putting out some dreadful excuses for superhero stories over the past few years, and they have really tried to push inclusivity with their new iterations of fan favorite characters, which could work if they were well written, but they're not. And we have seen the climate activist Superman, Tim Drake Robin series where the only personality trait he had was his sexuality, and Marvel's excuse for New Warriors that had Safe Space and Snowflake series all be canceled before launch. But now Marvel is trying to one-up DC again because they have announced a queer Captain America solo series where he has got no superpowers and wields a homemade version of Steve Rogers' shield. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So I wanted to start off with this Fandom Wire article. After DC's bisexual Superman, Marvel launches a queer Captain America solo series. Now, I have said this 100 times. I will say it 100 more. I do not mind characters having different sexual orientations. I don't mind seeing characters that happen to be, bisexual. But that can't be their only personality trait, and the writers at DC and Marvel just don't understand that. They basically take a sexuality and then build from there, like, oh, what would this character act like? Why is this their only personality trait? And they give them like a shallow backstory based on it. I want to see good characters with great stories that just happen to be bisexual. That shouldn't be that much to ask for, but apparently it is with these people. It says there is some exciting news awaiting Marvel fans around the world. The creative house evidently has large-scale plans for diverse inclusion on its horizon and follows up DC's release of an openly bisexual Superman with something similar of their own. These companies, of course, have always tried to one-up each other, but lately it has just been in terms of diversity and inclusivity, which are not bad things, but the way that they're doing it just feels very shallow. It says Marvel Studios is all for inclusivity and diversity in portraying its characters, and now Marvel fans are likely to see a major superhero's openly gay variant get his own Marvel Unlimited Infinity comic series. The openly gay Captain America variant number 1 releases on June 14th, 2023. Fisher doesn't have any superpowers and wields only a crude homemade version of the Shield Steve Rogers. He, however, is a symbol for the homeless and the destitute and all atrocities committed against them. And after his father abuses and abandons him over his sexual orientation, he takes to the trains and travels the country far and wide to help those in need. Now, I'm all for new and unique stories, but this just sounds so lame. When I am reading series about superheroes, I want out of this world situations and technology and villains. I don't want this. First of all, no superpowers, which just, what is he gonna do? Chuck his trash can lid shield at people? He is a symbol for the homeless and destitute, and he suffered through abuse and being abandoned. I mean, they literally said, how tragic can we make this individual seem? And they threw everything in a pile and said, you know what, this sounds like a good story. This to me just does not sound entertaining at all, sexuality aside. It's series like this that made me personally tap out of the mainstream comic market because I don't want to read stories like this. I want to see cool things happening. I want to see interesting characters with Superpowers. Why would I read a series like this when I can read about the Sorcerer Supreme or the Son of Odin? Why would I want to read about this character that doesn't have any superpowers, who wields a homemade shield? It just doesn't sound that exciting. And of course, like I mentioned, all of these companies have been kind of in competition to see who can be the most diverse and inclusive. And DC has recently, of course, released a lot of series like this, and they've all failed. Going to this Bounding into Comics article, DC Comics announces the cancellation of Tom Taylor's Superman Son of Kal-El series, and he was not only bisexual in this, but he was also a climate activist, which just, again, sounds really lame. I mean, he was standing at protests with, like, cardboard that said climate change is important. We need to, fix the world, basically. Why would Superman be doing that? It doesn't make sense. It says, although the series is best known for turning the new Superman gay, Taylor also pushed storylines where the woke hero fought against climate change. Yeah, see, school strike for climate justice, there's no planet B, save our world, and it's lame. No one wants to read stuff like this. Online response to Taylor's run has been rife with criticism. Gabe, a former Son of Kal-El colorist who parted ways with DC in protest of the current political agenda, took to social media to address the cancellation, saying, "1 year ago, I stood on principle and left DC Comics for their America-hating book by SJW narcissist Tom Taylor. I win," and it says Son of Kal-El to end, and they tried their best to say that this was selling well and people loved it, but apparently it wasn't selling good enough. We also recently saw this. DC Comics cancels their gay Robin series. A massive problem here is companies are pushing out series that don't appeal to the audiences they have. None of these are well-written stories and characters, and people don't want to support them. As I've said, the defining characteristics here are their sexualities, and no one wants to waste their money on these books. The people they're trying to appeal to by creating a gay Superman or Robin don't buy comics, and the people who do buy comics, these stories aren't interesting to, so you end up selling to no one. This isn't everyone, but I do believe it applies to the majority of the comic book reading audience. I bet they'll try to keep this going for a couple of months to maybe a year, but ultimately it will fail and it's not going to sell as good as they were hoping. I'm not going to purchase it. I'm sure most of you are not going to purchase it. And at the end of the day, it is just another disappointing series to release. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.